कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Gauranitai 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 Shri Shri Gauranitai Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Ashtotar Sushma Divine Grace Abhay Chanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Samshla Prabhupada Ki Jai Samit Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayasva Bhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone for today's Bhagavatam class. Seeking blessings of senior devotees, Devi Shakti Mataji, Shankari Prabhu and all others. So today, as all of you know, is a very special day. A lot of festivals today. So we are not reading from any verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, but we'll be glorifying the exalted Vaishnavas. Today is Srila Madhavendra Puri appearance, Srila Parameshwari Das Thakur disappearance, Shri Shri Radha Raman Dev appearance, Shri Srinivas Acharya appearance, and Krishna Phoolodol Shalila Vihar. So actually Krishna is, see, we cannot differentiate. Okay, let's Mangacharan, then we'll start. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुवेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is all about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and his dealings with his devotees. So we can't separate Krishna and his devotees. They're always together. The moment yesterday we had Narsingha Chaturdasi, for last few days we are hearing. But what do we see in Narsingha Leela? Description about Prahlad Maharaj. Actually about Narsingha is very less in that. If you see, Lord appears and a few verses, that's all. But the entire section of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, his qualities, his prayers. So actually if you see, it's more about Prahlad and less about Lord Nrsimhadev. Actually we can't distinguish. So Lord is glorified through his devotees. Because the more glories of the devotees we hear, so that pleases the Lord, and also because a life of a devotee is dedicated for the service of the Lord. And that means the moment we hear about Prahlad Maharaj, we have to hear about Nrsimhadev. So actually in one sense we can say that Bhagavatam is not about Lord but about his devotees. And within that description Lord is covered. In that sense also we can say. So similarly, so today is a very special day. So it's a wonderful day to glorify great devotees. We'll start with Madhavendra Puri. So yesterday we observed Narsingha Chaturdasi and read Prahlad Maharaj's wonderful devotional qualities. His prayers are actually, you can say, is absolutely pure devotional service. Where he is praying to Lord Nrsimhadev, Yadi dasyasi me kamam varams. So he says that, oh my Lord, varams tava varatar shava. So he is saying that, oh my Lord, if at all you want to give me a benediction, then what benediction you should give me? That let the material desires in my heart be vanquished. Such a beautiful prayer. Normally in this world, most of the people, they go to Krishna, they approach Supreme Lord in different religions also. Mainly for fulfilling their material desires. They pray for a peaceful life, or they want money, or they want good family. Lord, please give us our daily bread. So this way we see that in different traditions, mainly people pray to God for their fulfilling their necessities. Which is good. At least they are pious. Srila Prabhupada says, at least they are approaching God. Even if they have material desires, that's good. But Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us a higher level. That we approach Krishna without any material desires. And Prahlad Maharaj is actually a wonderful example of such a devotee who didn't have even a tinge of any material desire. Dhruv Maharaj in the beginning, he had material desires. After having darshan of the Supreme Lord, material desires were not there. But Prahlad Maharaj, from the very beginning we see that he didn't have a tinge of material desire. Absolutely pure devotional service. So now going forward, so this is like although all the devotees are, we can't distinguish in their level, but still if we actually see that the mood of devotees in Vrindavan is actually much higher than that of Prahlad Maharaj. In fact, in Brihad Bhagavatamrit also, the whole analysis is there that when Narad Muni tries to find out who is the greatest devotee of the Lord, so when he comes to Lord I'll not start from the beginning, but let's start from Lord Shiva. When he comes to Lord Shiva, let's Brahma. Okay, when he goes to Lord Brahma, that you are the greatest devotee, Lord Brahma says, no, I am not a devotee. You forgot Brahma Bhavan Leela, how I offended Krishna? I am not a devotee. Go to Lord Shiva. He is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So he went to Lord Shiva, oh Lord Shiva, you are the greatest among all devotees. Lord loves you so much. And then Lord Shiva said, please don't embarrass me. Don't you know so many times I have offended Krishna? I have fought with him also. How can I be a devotee? I am not at all a devotee. You go to Prahlad Maharaj. He is the greatest devotee of the Lord. Lord personally appeared just to protect Prahlad. So then Narad Muni went to Prahlad Maharaj and he glorified Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad is a disciple of Narad Muni. Imagine, so embarrassing. If your spiritual master, very senior devotee comes and starts glorifying you. And Prahlad was feeling so embarrassed. Then Prahlad said, my dear Lord, my dear Narad Muni, I am not a devotee. Hanumanji is a real devotee. I never did any practical service for the Lord. I was just remembering the Lord. But look at Hanumanji. He did so much practical service for the Lord. So then he went to Hanumanji. Then what Hanumanji said? No, I am not true devotee. Had I been a devotee, then why Lord Ram left me? I am not a devotee. Then he told who are the real devotees? Pandavas. So he sent them to Pandavas. And then Pandavas then said, no, we are also not devotee. You go to Yadus. And then finally, Yadus, then the gopis, they are the highest devotees. So we can see this, although in one sense we cannot distinguish higher and low devotees, but still our acharyas have told us that although Prahlad Maharaj has shown very high level of devotional service, but still higher than him is those who are actively serving the Lord, like Hanumanji. Higher than Hanumanji are the Pandavas. Higher than them are Yadus. And the highest are devotees in Vrindavan. So this Vrindavan conception of Lord, worshipping Krishna in this intimate form as the Brajvasis, that was first preached in this material world, it is said by, at least it is said as per our understanding, Madhavendra Puri. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually came to give this Braj Prem or this highest mellows of worshipping Krishna in the mood of Brajvasis. Anarpitam charim chirad karuna avatirna kalo samarpayitum unnata ujjvala rasam svabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipitah sada hriday kandare vasatu vasachinandana. So this anarpitam charim chirad, this highest love of Krishna that was never given for long time, so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. But before him, the groundwork was done by Madhavendra Puri. Actually, he is the first one, it is said. I just read this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 9, verse number 10. Jaya Shri Madhavendra Puri Krishna Prema Pura Bhakti Kalpa Taruteha Prathama Ankura. Jaya Shri Madhava Puri Krishna Prema Pura Bhakti Kalpa Tarurateha Prathama Ankura. All glories to Shri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service unto Krishna. He is a desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. Bhakti Kalpa Tarurateha Prathama Ankur. So in this chapter, there is a description of the desired tree of devotional service, this Bhakti Kalpataru. We know that different devotees of Mahaprabhu have been compared to different branches. The main trunk is Lord Chaitanya, then Nityananda, then Advaita, then different sub-branches. So it is said that the seed, like every tree starts from a seed. And the seed first gives rise to like seedling, the first few leaves. So the first leaves of this plant of Bhakti is Madhavendra Puri. It's the first leaf, you can say. Bhakti Kalpaturateha Prathama Ankur. Purport. Sri Madhavendra Puri, also known as Sri Madhava Puri, belonged to the disciplic succession from Madhvacharya and was a greatly celebrated sannyasi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the third disciplic descendant from Sri Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri's disciple Ishwar Puri, and his disciple was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The process of worship in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya was full of ritualistic ceremonies, with hardly any sign of love of Godhead. Madhva Sampradaya, they are Vaishnavas, but they are more like they said Tattvavadis, or they are more into rituals. But Sri Madhavendra Puri was the first person in that disciplic succession to exhibit the symptoms of love of Godhead, and the first to write a poem beginning with the words Ai Deena Dayadra Nath, O supremely merciful personality of Godhead. In that poem is the seed of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cultivation of love of Godhead. So, important line, I'll read once again. Prabhupada is saying, in that poem, in which poem? A poem written by Madhavendra Puri, Ai Deena Dayadra Nath Hai. In that poem is a seed of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cultivation of love of Godhead. So this verse, I am sure some of you must have heard of this verse. Very, very special, very sweet verse. Actually, it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that only 3 people, they understand the meaning of this verse. Which are the 3 people? Madhavendra Puripat, who himself composed the verse, Radharani herself, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's all. Only 3 personalities, they understand the meaning of this verse. Nobody else can understand. So what can we speak about the verse? But just a few minutes. So this is a very special verse. This is the mood of Srimati Radharani, where she is saying, Ai Deena Dayadra Nath Hai, Mathura Nath Kada Avalokya Se, Hridayam Tad Aloka Kataram Daita Bhramyati Kim Karomi Ham. So when Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, so Srimati Radharani, she is praying in this way. And oh my Lord, Ai Deena Dayadra Nath Hai. We say Deenanath, right? We say Krishna has another name, Deenabandhu or Deenanath. That means he is very merciful on those who are distressed, those who are fallen. So he is saying, oh my Lord, you are Deenanath, Deena Dayadra Nath. You are Mathura Nath, because Krishna left from Vrindavan to Mathura. So Radharani is saying, you are Mathura Nath. Kada avalokya se, when will you give darshan to me? Hridayam tad aloka kataram. Without having your darshan, my heart is agitated, very much in pain. Daita bhramyati kim karomiham. What can I do? What shall I do now? What can I do? So of course the very, very exalted mood of Vipralamba Bhav, the mood of separation from Krishna, which actually Mahaprabhu came to show this to the entire world. He himself relished this mood of separation from Krishna. We know the internal reason of Mahaprabhu's coming. We want to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. So therefore Mahaprabhu obviously liked this verse very much. And also he came to teach the whole world that how we can also gradually progress in this path of pure devotional service, as following in the footsteps of Madhavendra Puri. So this is the verse written by Madhavendra Puri. So a few words about Madhavendra Puri. We all know that he was a great Paramahamsa. He never asked anyone anything. What it is called? Ayachaka Vritti or Ajagar Vritti. And he came to Vrindavan, he did Govardhan Parikrama. In fact, he stayed also in Braj for many years. That's what, I don't know exactly his history, but let me see if there is something. Okay. Yeah, Sri Gaurachandra used to repeatedly remark that in relishing mellows of love in devotion, there is no one compared with Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri had many exalted disciples like Ishwar Puri. Who else? Do you remember? Disciples of Advaita Acharya. Then Nityananda Prabhu also, yes. There's some they say Lakshmi Tirtha and some they say Madhavendra Puri. Then Ishwar Puri himself, right? Ishwar Puri, Advaita Acharya, And so many exalted disciples he had. And when Nityananda Prabhu first met Madhavendra Puri, it is a very wonderful meeting. It is said they both embraced and soaked each other in tears. So when Nityananda Prabhu had darshan of Madhavendra Puri, he said, "Today I have received the fruit of all my travels to the holy places. In seeing the feet of Madhavendra Puri, I have received the treasure of love of God, and thus my life has become blessed." Madhavendra Puri's love of God was very uncommon. Simply upon seeing a dark rain cloud, you would fall down unconscious. Imagine, so many times we see dark cloud, but nothing happens to us. But the moment you saw a dark cloud, you used to become unconscious. Why? Because dark cloud resembles Krishna's complexion, Ghanshyam. Day and night he imbibed the spiritual liquor of Krishna Prem and thus remained intoxicated, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. And not everybody could recognize that he was such an exalted Vaishnava. And all the time he was engaged in Sankirtan and absorbed in Krishna Prem. So, and we know the famous pastime, that how when he came to Vrindavan in Govardhan, he did Govardhan Parikrama, he was resting under the tree at the banks of Govindakund. And the whole pastime, that how Gopal came and brought a pot of milk for him, and then he excavated Gopalji and beautiful temple was established. Now also, if you go to Govindakund, you had darshan of Madhavendra Puri's Bhajan Kutir. Still we have his Bhajan Kutir. And on the top of Govardhan, you can still see a white temple. That's actually the Gopalji temple. But next to that is a broken temple. Have you noticed it? While doing Govardhan Parikrama, on the top of the hill near Govindakund, you can see two temples. One white temple, new temple, and just next to that is an old temple broken down. So that was the original temple built by Madhavendra Puri 500 years back. And later they built a new temple. So the whole pastime is so wonderful. One entire chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself glorifies Madhavendra Puri. Just see how Mahaprabhu feels so happy to glorify his own devotees. So he himself, for one chapter is dedicated for the glorification of Madhavendra Puri. The whole Chandan Yatra pastime, how Madhavendra Puri made Gopal appear, and then he did wonderful installation ceremony. These days we know if you have to do installation ceremony, it takes so much of planning and fundraising and this and that. And Madhavendra Puri in one day he organized everything. The Gopalji appeared and next day he performed installation ceremony. And for so many days continuously there was Annakuta festival. And finally then Gopal again came and told that I am still feeling hot, so you bring Chandan for me. And then all the way he went from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. Very tough. This is actually Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that this is the symptom of love of Godhead. That one who has Krishna Prem, he is ready to undertake any difficulty in Krishna's service. So sometimes we see Krishna Prem means someone who is simply crying in tears of ecstasy. That is also there. But actually, one should be ready to do any difficult service for Krishna's happiness. That is a symptom of actually love of Krishna. So just like we saw in Srila Prabhupada, how much difficulty he undertook. And his disciples. And now also there are so many wonderful devotees in our movement who have undertaken so much of difficulty to preach this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is a real symptom of love of Godhead. So we saw Madhavendra Puri, he himself went all the way from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. And on the way, Khirchor Gopinath, that pastime took place. And then he went to Jagannath Puri. And you see, he never wanted fame. That's another quality of Madhavendra Puri. The moment that pastime happened, that the pujari brought kheer, the next day, before early morning, Madhavendra Puri departed from there because he knew the news will be spread and people will come to meet him. Just see, in conditional stage, we are just opposite. We want that people should know that what a great devotee I am. The news should go in Facebook, everywhere, WhatsApp, all website, that such a great pastime happened. Krishna stole kheer for me. That is our mentality. But Madhavendra Puri, he left that place. He didn't want his fame to spread. But Krishna is again so much eager that his devotees should be glorified, that before he could reach Jagannath Puri, the news already reached Jagannath Puri that for Madhavendra Puri path, Gopinath himself stole pot of sweet rice. And when he reached Puri, all the devotees, they honored him. Oh, you are great Madhavendra Puri path. Now you see another wonderful thing. So what Madhavendra Puri decided, that okay, I am getting fame, but let me use this for Krishna's service. So this is again most exalted stage of a devotee. That he is not after fame, he is not after power, prestige or resources. But if he gets those, he uses them 100% for Krishna's service. So Madhavendra Puripad, he saw that okay, people are glorifying him, they're respecting him. So what he said? He requested them. Okay, if you want to really help me, honor me, then you help me to get chandan, sandalwood paste. And they all arranged, the king of Orissa and his ministers, they all arranged big quantity of sandalwood for him, and they arranged servants to carry it. And then when Madhavendra Puripad was walking back, then again when he stopped at Remuna, and this time, even before he could ask, the pujaris brought all the pots and gave it to him. That last time we didn't give him, and Gopinath had to steal and all that. Okay, let's first give all the pots to him. But that day in the night, again Gopal came in his dream and said that you apply chandan to Gopinath. Because the Lord was so pleased, he had already passed in his test. So he didn't want him to again go to Vrindavan. It was not easy carrying so much of sandalwood, and so many different governments were there, so many restrictions, toll tax and all that. So in Madhavendra Puri's life, we see great reciprocation between him and Krishna. And he was prepared to do any service for Krishna's satisfaction. And then he stayed back at Remuna, and in his final days, he left his body at Remuna itself. How many of you have seen his samadhi? Madhavendra Puripad samadhi is there next to, I've just been there once, beautiful place near temple. There's a big tree. It is said that it's that same tree where Madhavendra Puripad was sitting in the night, that pujari came with that sweet rice, kheer. And what he did, he ate that, and then he broke into small pieces, and he was carrying it with him, and every day he was eating that small piece of that pot. So his samadhi is there, and that is where his great devotee, disciple Ishwar Puri served him. So in his final days, Ishwar Puri served Madhavendra Puri very beautifully, He took care of his physical needs. But more than that, it is said that he reminded him of Krishna. He was chanting Krishna's names, telling about Krishna's pastimes. So this is also a very important thing, that whenever we have devotees leaving their body, so we have to take care of both the aspects. One is their physical needs, health. At the same time, we should also do kirtan and hear Krishna, read Krishna Katha. So Madhavendra Puri was very happy that his disciple Ishwar Puri cared for him so nicely. And he blessed him that may you get Krishna Prem. And because of his blessings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chose Ishwar Puri. That was the only reason why Mahaprabhu chose Ishwar Puri to become his guru. Because he served Madhavendra Puri with such humility and with such sincerity. Because of that, imagine Krishna, that means we can see that Lord is so pleased when we serve his devotees. On the other hand, we have example of Ramachandra Puri, who was a great offender. When he went to meet Madhavendra Puri, and in his final days he was crying in separation from Krishna, Ai Dina Dayadra Nathe, what we read now. In the highest mood of ecstasy, he was crying in separation from Krishna. And this foolish Ramachandra Puri, he came and told, Hare, what are you doing? Why you are lamenting? You should meditate upon Brahman. And Madhavendra Puri got so angry, said, you rascal, just get out of here. Never come here. I don't want to see your face. So this contrast we can see, Ramachandra Puri and Ishwar Puri. And we should also analyze that we also have sometimes this mood of Ramachandra Puri. We think that we are more exalted. We try to give advice to senior devotees or spiritual masters. So that is mood of Ramachandra Puri. But Ishwar Puri, that is the mood that we should try to emulate. So this is some little glorification of Madhavendra Puri Pad, today being his appearance day. So let us pray at the lotus feet of Madhavendra Puri so that he can bless us today. Shri Shri Madhavendra Puri Pad ki jai. And his worshipable deity Gopalji is present where now? Nathdwara. And you see, it's one of the very famous temples in India. Thousands, millions of people go there for darshan. It's all because of Madhavendra Puri Pad. Because of his love, Gopal again reappeared, and then he established him on the top of Govardhan. And then later, he was carried from Govardhan to Udaipur, Nathdwara. And now also, in the form of Srinathji, the entire western part of India, like Maharashtra, Gujarat, they all go to that temple. So I think once we all should go and have darshan of Gopalji, very beautiful deity. This was about Madhavendra Puri Pad. Then let's read something about Srinivas Acharya. So Srinivas Acharya was a disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And we know that after 6 Goswamis, the next generation of Acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. So he was one of the Teen Goswami also. Like we have Sad Goswami, after that we have Teen Goswami, these 3. So they all studied under Jiva Goswami, and Srinivas Acharya was a disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. In fact, he said that I think Mahaprabhu appeared in his dream and told him to take Diksha from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And of course, we'll not go into details, but I think there's a very heart-touching story that how Srinivas Acharya wanted to have darshan of Mahaprabhu, but by the time he reached Jagannath Puri, on the way he heard that Mahaprabhu has left. Then he went there, then he saw Gadadhar Pandit. Am I right, the same story? And then Gadadhar Pandit, he wanted to hear Bhagavatam from him, but the Bhagavatam which was there, it became wet and all the letters were not visible. Then he said, you bring another copy of Bhagavatam. By the time Srinivas Acharya went and came back with a new copy of Bhagavatam, he also disappeared, Gadadhar Pandit. Then he thought, okay, let me go and meet Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. By the time he came to Vrindavan, they also disappeared. Then finally, Mahaprabhu appeared in a dream and said, don't worry, take shelter of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So, and one of his disciples was Ramchandra Kaviraj. Like the last line of this famous song by Narottam Das Thakur, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare. In that we see last line, Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangha Mage Narottama Dasa. So that very nice song that he is praying Narottam Das Thakur that Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas, that O Srinivas, please be merciful on me, and I want the association of Ramachandra Kaviraj. So Ramachandra, you see another beautiful thing. It's not that all the time like God brothers, we see that in one sense Ramachandra Kaviraj was junior to Narottam Das Thakur. Because Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, they were same level. But Narottam Das Thakur became very close to disciple of Srinivas Acharya. So this is also one very nice thing to see here. So they were very close friends, Narottam Das Thakur and Ramchandra Kaviraj. And Ramchandra Kaviraj was the disciple of Srinivas Acharya. And we see all these pastimes in Bhakti Ratnakar in details, all the pastimes of how Srinivas Acharya. See, the Goswamis, they wrote books. They wrote so many books. Nana Shastra Vicharaneka Nipuno, Sazdhamma Sansthabko. But then, who preached those literature? These three great acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. So they went to Bengal, Orissa, Bihar, different parts, and they made copies, hand copies. That time there was no printing press, nothing, handmade copies. Very difficult to make in those days. I don't know, few days back somebody sent in WhatsApp some message, some scores of That time, Narottam Das Thakur, he gave some scores. So they could distribute very few books. And then I think somewhere, I don't know how authentic was that, somebody sent a nice WhatsApp message. In the end, it is said, Narottam Das Thakur is praying that one day some great exalted Vaishnava will come and actually publish this literatures in mass scale. And that is how Srila Prabhupada, so in sense that is also prediction of Srila Prabhupada. That it was so difficult in those days. I mean, hardly it was said in that score, 4 Bhagavatam sets and some copies of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Very difficult. Because making handwritten copies and distributing. So, but they took that struggle, Srinivas Acharya. And he was very good in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when this, the story that when 3 of them, they were carrying all the Goswami literatures in a bullock cart, it was stolen by a king who was a dacoit actually, Birambir. And imagine their condition, all the books written by Goswamis for so many years, only one copy was there and they were taking it to Bengal for making more copies and it got lost. But Srinivas Acharya stayed back and told Narottam and Shyamanand Pandit, you go ahead and preach, I will stay back here and try to recover those, those stolen books. And he stayed there and that local king, he was such a hypocrite. Daytime he used to hear Bhagavatam. And night time he used to do robbery and dacoity. So daytime he was hearing nice, like a great sadhu king, he used to hear Bhagavatam. So once he was hearing Bhagavatam and somebody was speaking Bhagavatam, and normally that there are many so-called Bhagavad speakers in India, those are Mayavadis, but still they speak Bhagavatam. So such Mayavadi was speaking Bhagavatam and Srinivas Acharya was there. He could not tolerate. So he started refuting him. And then everybody realized that Srinivas Acharya is such a great Vaishnava. And the king took shelter of Srinivas Acharya and said, please make me your disciple. So he accepted him and they said, what service I can do? And then he said that all these great scriptures have been stolen. And then he said, I am that thief who had stolen, please take them back. So in that way, Srinivas Acharya played a very important role and he preached a lot. So this is a little bit about Srinivas Acharya. Okay. So they played a very important role in the middle of 16th century to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srinivas Acharya's parents, his father was Gangadhar Bhattacharya and his wife was Lakshmi Priya. And they were actually great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So his father Gangadhar was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Gangadhar all the time used to hear Gaur Leela. He wanted to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he could not. Then in the year 1510, he could not tolerate the news that Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And then he was lamenting so much. He said, what? Gangadhar cried, why must my Lord take the renounced order? This austerity is reserved for human beings like me, so we can overcome our attachments to this world. Certainly there is no need for Sri Nimai, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to live the harsh life of an ascetic. In this way, he was feeling a lot of pain in his heart when Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And so in this way, he was completely absorbed in the mood of Mahaprabhu. And his name, Chaitanya Das, was given to him. I'm sorry. Something like that. Yeah. So he all the time started chanting Chaitanya, Chaitanya, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that name was given during his sannyas ceremony. He repeatedly chanted Chaitanya, Chaitanya. And in that mood, when he was all the time absorbed, because he was all the time calling Chaitanya, 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 the villagers started calling him Chaitanya Das. So Gangadhar Das, his father, Srinivas Acharya's father, later came to be known as Chaitanya Das. Anyway, now we have limited time, we'll go to Radharaman. So then he went to Jagannath Puri, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then finally he gave birth to Srinivas Acharya. Srinivasacharya ki jai. So very, very exalted Vaishnav. And now let's come to Shri Radharaman Dev appearance, because we have 10 minutes now. And it's a glorious pastime. So I'm sure those who are staying in Vrindavan, you all had darshan of Radharaman. Of course, for us, Radha Shyam Sundar are the most beautiful. Krishna Ballam, we don't have to go anywhere. But still, in Vrindavan, at least whenever possible, sometimes we should go and have darshan of Radharaman. Very, very special, beautiful deities. And today is the appearance day of Radharaman. So yesterday was Narsingha Chaturdasi, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he had Shaligram Shilas. He once went to Gandaki river, and there, you know that Shaligram Shilas are available in Gandaki river in Nepal. So he went there, he was taking bath, and then the Shilas came to him on his own, and he came back with 12 Shaligram Shilas. And so we'll read a little bit about the appearance of Radha Raman. So when he came back to Vrindavan with those Shilas, he was worshipping those Shilas. In the meantime, the other Goswamis, like Rupa Goswami, he was worshipping Radha Govinda Dev. Sanatan Goswami, he established Radha Madan Mohan. So all the other Goswamis, they had beautiful temples of Radha and Krishna, and gorgeous worship was going on. So on the evening, on the day of Narsingha Chaturdasi, one wealthy devotee came to Vrindavan, and he donated various valuable jewels, crowns, flutes to all the Goswamis to worship. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami had 12 Shaligram Shilas. So he thought, well, what can I do with these ornaments? You know, Shaligram means you can't give a flute to Shaligram Shila, or you can't decorate Shaligram Shila so much. Although we decorate a little bit, but simple worship of Shaligram Shila. So he was thinking in his heart that he had a desire that, oh my Lord, today you manifested because of the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj from a pillar. He just developed a little heart that it will be so nice if you can also appear before me in a threefold bending form, in the form of Shyama Sundar, so that I can also serve you. He prayed to the Shaligram Shilas. On this very day, Lord Narsinghadev appeared in a beautiful form of stone. You can also do the same thing. So with this prayer, Gopal Bhatta took some rest in the night. The next morning, he went to river Yamuna to take his bath. And when he returned with the water from Yamuna for doing Abhishek to Shaligram Shilas, suddenly he saw that, because in a cloth it was there, and the cloth was suddenly raised. So probably he thought it's a snake or something. Then when the sunrise was there and he removed the cloth, to his pleasant surprise, what he saw? Beautiful, most beautiful form of Shri Radha Raman. Shri Radha Raman Lal ki jai. And the deity was so beautiful, with beautiful lotus-like eyes and lips and fingers. I'm sure you have seen Radharaman, so beautiful, you know. You can see his beautiful hands holding the flute, his beautiful feet. Even you can see his teeth, you know, little teeth in his mouth. And his body was curved so sweetly and very small, 12 inches high, but so enchanting. His Tribhanga form, playing upon his flute. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami was ecstatic. And immediately the news spread throughout Vrindavan that the Lord has appeared on his own. Jai Dinivandhu Prabhu. I always remember, I don't know now whether Prabhuji announced today or not, earlier you should announce in Mangalarti that everyone should go for darshan of Abhishek of Radharaman. And so, how many kilos of milk they use? What is the quantity of milk they use?
I don't know anymore. When I first came here, they were doing 500.
500 liters.
1500, I don't know.
Oh, Prabhuji was saying, earlier 500 liters of milk was used for Abhishek, and now Prabhuji is saying maybe 1500 liters, I don't know. So, So the Pujari, the news spread throughout Vrindavan, and Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they all came running to the place. That place is there, next to the temple. Between the Samadhi of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and the temple, there is a place of appearance of Radharaman. Very close to Yamuna. So that time Yamuna was even closer to that place. And they all came and looking at this beautiful deity, and the name was given as Radharaman. Radharaman means one who gives pleasure to Shrimati Radharani. And you all must have heard that this deity is actually a combination of all three principal deities of Vrindavan: Shri Govinda Gopinath, Madan Mohan. So the lotus feet are like Madan Mohan, if I am right, Prabhuji. Krishna's original, Madan Mohan resembles Krishna's original feet, and the feet of Radharaman is also like Madan Mohan. And the chest area is like Gopinath. The chest area holding. So that pose, so actually Gopinath deity resembles that actual pose of Krishna holding the fruit and his this chest area. And Radharaman's this chest area is exactly like Gopinath. And the face of Radharaman is like face of Radha Govinda Dev, which is exactly like face of Krishna. Because you know this story that when the three original deities were carved by Vajranath 5,000 years back, Radha Gopinath, Radha Madan Mohan and Radha Govinda Dev, and it was Uttara, I think. Uttara because Uttara, the mother of Parikshit, she was alive when Krishna was there. So she had direct darshan of Krishna. So when the deities were being carved, so when she was asked that please see if this resembles Krishna, so she told that the feet of Madan Mohan resembles the actual feet of Krishna. And the chest of Gopinath resembles actual feature of Krishna, and the face of Govindji resembles Krishna. But this deity of Radharaman was a combination of all these three deities. So it means it looks exactly like Krishna. So lotus feet, the hand, chest, face, everything exactly like Krishna. So, immediately there was a big celebration, big abhishek, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, because he was from traditional Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, we know his father was the head priest of Srirangam temple. Even now in South India temples, they follow the very strictly all the injunctions of the scriptures. So he came from that family, so he knew how to worship the deities following all the rules and regulations. So he established very high standards of worship of Radharaman. Even Srila Prabhupada, I think he appreciated the standard of Radharaman worship. So even now the worship standard is quite high, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he entrusted one of his disciples, Damodar Das. Yeah, I think he's one of his disciples, Gopinath Pujari, but Gopinath Pujari was a brahmachari, and the younger brother of Gopinath Pujari was Damodar Das. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami initiated Damodar Das, and he was entrusted for the service of Radharaman, and he had 3 sons, and that is how the parampara is going on till now. That whole family of Radharaman, so they are carrying on the service of Radharaman. But one thing very special I want to add here, which sometimes we don't know, that actually Gopal Bhatta Goswami, okay, I'll tell this story, that we all know that Gopal Bhatta Goswami, when he was 7 years old, he had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Srirangam. And he served Mahaprabhu for Chaturmas period. He was so attached to Mahaprabhu, he wanted to go with him. But then Mahaprabhu said, no, you be here, serve your parents, and when they return back to Godhead, then you come to Vrindavan. And same thing happened. So he stayed back there, his parents departed, they blessed him, that you please go to Vrindavan and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to Vrindavan. But by the time he came to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu had already come to Vrindavan and gone back to Jagannath Puri. And he was eagerly waiting for the news of Gopal Bhatta. So as soon as Gopal Bhatta Goswami came to Vrindavan, Rupa and Sanatan, they sent this news to Mahaprabhu that Gopal Bhatta has come to Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear this news, and he personally sent his, his sitting place and some cloth. He sent his sitting place and some cloth to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Mahaprabhu was very happy that Gopal Bhatta Goswami has come. And Rupa and Sanatan, they really loved Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And so Gopal Bhatta Goswami was in Vrindavan, but never again he had darshan of Mahaprabhu again, like direct darshan. So he was lamenting one day in his heart. He was worshipping Radharaman, but he was thinking that my parents, they ordered me to worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but I am not able to serve Mahaprabhu. He was feeling very sad in his heart. So all of a sudden, he saw that beautiful form of Radharaman, it transformed in the form of Gaura Sundar. So in this way, when we have darshan of Radharaman, we can also see Radharaman as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Because that was how, and from that day, Gopal Bhatta Goswami became even all the more ecstatic, because he understood that there is no difference between Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Radharaman. So in this way, Radharaman, very beautiful deity, self-manifested deity in Vrindavan. So we can have darshan, if possible today, or at least someday, darshan of Radharaman. Shri Radharaman Dev ki jai, Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki jai, Srinivas Acharya ki jai, Madhavendra Puripad ki jai. And one more exalted Vaishnava we could not hear about the glories, that is Parmeshwari Das Thakur. And he was one of the Dwadash Gopals, one of the 12 associates of Nityananda Prabhu. So today is also his disappearance day. And Krishna Fuladol, because it's summer time, so Krishna and Radha and Krishna, they have nice pastimes in boat. And so this is also, it's called Krishna Fuladol Shalila Vihar. Hare Krishna. It's celebrated in Bengal, yes. So here we have Chandan Yatra. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
So that cloth, only this day and Jamashtami, if you go there, you'll see a big frame with, a glass in the front, but the glass has got big Radharman tilak painted on it. Behind that tilak is the cloth that Mahaprabhu gave to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Mahaprabhu's chadar is there. It's hard to see because all this tilak is there and it's 500 years old, so it's pretty deteriorated. But that's the cloth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And only on this day and the Jamashtami day, you look, you'll see one of the little pedestals. There's a sitting place is quite small. It's been rubbed with oil for so many years. It's completely black. It's like a stone. But that's the Mahaprabhu used to sit on that choki. So that's another very special thing. Other thing is that every time I've been to Shir Turgopinath, not Kir Turgopinath, Shir Turgopinath. They always complain to me because they know that I know little Hindi. That why your book says sweet rice. There's not one grain of sweet rice in Amrita Keli. Because Bengalis, they will say shir, they will say kheer. So our devotees at ISKCON, we mistakenly calling it sweet rice. But there's not one grain of rice. It's sweetened condensed milk. If you go there and take some, you won't find one grain of rice in it. It's sweetened condensed milk, Amrita Keli.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like rabdi, very condensed milk, yes.
Just like we say the Shir Dakshai Vishnu, because he lies in the ocean of
milk.
Shir, milk. Well, they churn the Shir Sagar, the ocean of milk. They didn't churn sweet rice, they churn the ocean of milk. So he's Shir Turgopinath. Somehow the Bengali pronunciation is Kir. So we become we've mistaken, all of this kind of mistaken that it's sweet rice. But there's not one grain of rice. It's sweetened condensed milk. You go there and taste some for yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other comments or anything? Okay. Thank you very much. La Prabhupada ki jai.